Welcome
to another exciting episode of Footnotes. Footnotes, Heroes of Warcraft. This is a podcast where me and my brother, we talk about TV shows and movies that were bad but had potential, or didn't have potential, and we inject potential by ripping off other stories and putting those plot lines into this one. Today we're going to be talking about the TV series.
Called Homage.
Today we're going to be talking about the TV series Grimm. I think it's called in legal terminology, not quite plagiarism, I think is the term.
It isn't plagiarism because the writers of the stories were dead.
What we're doing isn't plagiarism because it falls under the category of parody, because it's absurd that anyone would ever listen to us. No, it falls under the category of criticism. But today we're going to be talking about the TV series Grimm. And we're going to be spoiling a bunch of stuff in that series. So if you've not seen the whole thing, really, because we never watched the whole thing. We watched until the third season. But we've read information since then regarding what happened in later seasons. I'm doing the thing where I put my finger in my mouth like I'm trying to vomit, by the way.
To get the poison out of you.
That's right. To remove the impurities from my body. It's not. I mean, really, I don't think the show was ever fantastic. I think it had some pretty good episodes in the beginning. But I think it had potential.
It had.
Well, I mean, a lot of those things had potential. I mean, Once Upon a Time, for instance, I think had potential. I don't think Once Upon a Time was ever that good either. I think it was okay, and then it had potential to be interesting at least, and it threw that potential out of the window in exchange for gimmicks and
money.
Being unable to it's the classic. It's the soap opera problem, right?
Yeah.
Which is characters have to die or there is no tension.
Yeah.
But if you kill off the characters that your audience, is obsessed with, why are they going to watch your shitty show that that the writing isn't that good of?
Because...
No reason. That's why. There's no reason. There's no reason why they would watch your show. There's no reason.
To learn from their mistakes.
Well, the other thing is, but if nobody dies, who's gonna? Why should anyone watch your show? It's a catch-22. It's the same problem. It's the same problem with any supernatural based show.
Yeah.
And I haven't watched Supernatural. From my understanding, I think it's kind of like Buffy the Vampire Slayer, but it's
all
for
these
women.
Things really based on
because
Supernatural.
There's a bunch of From my understanding, it's a lot of homosexual tension between handsome-looking men.
I think you mean homoerotic
tension is what I meant. Is what I should say. Yeah, because heterosexual tension doesn't really sound right. It would be, homoerotic tension between men. And I don't think that's what actually the show is about, but that's what, the fan base is about.
That's what I would make the show about.
The homoerotic tension between the good-looking men. Yeah, thank you, Jacob. But that's my understanding of Supernatural. And it's also my understanding that I think this show is, it's from the Supernatural grain. Because I think in Supernatural it's something similar. It's not the exact same thing, but it's basically the two guys, their grandfather raised them, and he's a demon hunter or whatever, and now they have to be demon hunters because he was a demon hunter. So it's a similar concept that they're using in both of these situations.
I did not know that was what Supernatural was about.
Yeah, it is. It's got like a bunch of biblical shit. Like
I thought it was about
angels,
adolescent people having telekinesis.
Like Death is a character at one point.
No, a lot of those.
No, Supernatural. It's like Buffy the Vampire Slayer, but if it went on for even longer and wasn't self-aware or funny. I haven't seen Supernatural, so a lot of people are going to be angry at me for saying that. A lot of people might also be angry at me for the things that I'm going to say about Grimm as we continue this episode. But for those who don't know, the format is pretty much we sum up what's good about a thing, we sum up what's bad, and we talk about how we would fix it.
Right.
We've already we spent a little time to research what we're talking about.
Yeah.
To come up with a sort of game plan.
Yeah.
And two of us have done that. We've created the lore essentially, and we're going to be working together to make I don't know how many episodes there were in the first season. Let me look it up.
Let's say 12. Yeah,
12 is a good number. Okay, it says 22 episodes for season 1. So we probably won't do that many in our version of events. Probably cut it down. But we may do a follow-up episode to this one at some point, which is season 2 of our version of Grimm, depending on how invested we become in our own writing. At this point is where the show transitions between the realms of media criticism into essentially fan fiction. But I'm okay with that because media criticism is dumb anyway. All right.
Fan fiction is fun.
And fan friction. Come on down to the fan friction event.
I didn't say friction.
Supernatural versus Grimm, 12 rounds, no take homes. Dun, dun. Grimm ran for six seasons. I think Supernatural was either still running or it ended on its 9th or 7th season. So
I think it's still running.
Also, I don't think Grimm ever reached the level of popularity but Grimm was part of the wave of fairy tale for adults, sort of which was all inspired by Fable, from my understanding, the comic book Fable. Which I believe started in the 90s, possibly the early 2000s. Is a very influential comic book. Once Upon a Time is basically a rip-off of Fable, where it's these fairy tale characters, and they're in the real world, and they have these certain personalities, and they appear in one another's stories. It's basically a rip-off. Yeah, because it's they got pushed out of their dimension in Fable by an evil force.
Mm-hmm.
It's essentially it's different cosmetically, but it's essentially the same thing.
Yeah. But watch out, because we're going to do the exact same thing.
No, we're not. That's not what we're going to do. It's not all what we're going to do. Is it? Maybe. No, but that's the same time period. There was so Fable came out, Once Upon a Time came out, Grimm came out a little bit later than that. It's also, really, Once Upon a Time.
Disney came out 50 years earlier.
Yeah, but no, but in terms of modern fairy tales, I guess there was also what's the name of that? Enchanted, right? The film where the Disney princess gets
Disenchanted.
No,
not to be confused with Disenchantment, the Netflix original.
No, it's not Disenchanted.
It's Disenchanted. That's what I heard.
No, it is not. I'm looking it up. Enchanted.
The movie about the princess who gets taken in the real world.
Yes, it's called Enchanted. IMDb says that it is Enchanted, 2007, directed by Kevin Lima, starring Amy Adams.
Okay.
Enchanted. Disenchanted, please.
It's the same thing.
No, but that came out at the same time, which is a meta thing about also, the Grimm sisters stories.
Grimm sisters?
Yeah, Once Upon a Time is just a rip-off of... You remember the Grimm sisters stories. There's the two sisters. They've been, kicked around by the foster care system. They get adopted by their, estranged aunt, and she has a guy... she has, this manservant guy, Mr. Fenris, and he turns out to be a big bad wolf, and they, fight various supernatural threats in a town in I think it's Virginia or something.
Why don't we talk about this more?
What, the Grimm sisters?
I don't remember this at all.
It was fantastic. You don't remember? We listened to 7 books on tape, and then we never listened to it again because
that's why it was books.
Because it got bad in the sixth book, kind of.
I probably wasn't listening because I was.
You're never listening to anything. No, but it was all around the same time. It was a craze. I guess Hoodwinked came out a little bit before that. It was a craze, is the point. It became a thing. And Grimm capitalized that at the end of its life cycle, which is part of the reason why I don't think it was as it lasted as long, or why it was able to.
Well, it was trying something sort of different.
Yeah. Well, it's less. I mean, it's much. When the series started, it was more down to earth. And here's the thing that was good about it was that in the first season, at least, you had this police procedural with the occasional supernatural element.
Yeah.
But for the most part, it was more about like this weird psychology of these creatures.
All right.
And then reacting to how they react to different situations and the kinds of roles they take on in modern society.
Yeah. But that quickly becomes stupid.
Well, the thing about that is, I don't know if I guess maybe they fired some of the writing team, or the people on the writing team ran out of ideas. But it's the same problem with Once Upon a Time. We're in the second season.
People on the writing team just quit.
This is true. They may be I've had enough of this shit. I'm going to Fox or whatever. I don't know what network Grimm was on. I'm going to NBC. That's everybody's backup is NBC. No, but I don't know, but it's the same problem as Once Upon a Time, where in the second season, it became less about exploring character depth and having interesting concepts, and it became more it's like a CGI fest.
Yeah,
is what it becomes.
You see, okay, so the first few episodes of season 1, they're based on the Grimm tales.
Also true.
And
this is another thing where they kind of limited themselves on the outset.
As the plot thickens, the story,
does it thicken?
It becomes more difficult.
Widens, certainly. Thicken, I don't know about that.
To make it so that it's similar to other stories. To the old stories. So they stopped doing that.
Here's the thing. The series never had a ton of depth to it.
Right.
Yeah. And that's the thing. In the second season, they fell back on what people find interesting is these new types of weapons. So we just shove more of those at the screen.
I mean, I fell for it.
It's like if the show became just Monster of the Week episodes, basically.
There should be a show called Monster of the Week.
There should be a show called Monster of the Week. I mean, that's the name of an RPG system that you can play. So that does exist in some capacity, but not as a show. You're right. There should be an X-Files, Buffy the Vampire Slayer style show that's called Monster of the Week. We should make that show. If we ever,
we're going to. That's going to be a new podcast. We're going to be creative writing Monster of the Week. Yeah,
Monster of the Week. Are we going to make a podcast specifically just for that?
Yes.
Okay. It become, and then but all the episodes are loosely strung together with this increasingly esoteric plot about Adelaide, and she wants to have a royal child, and there's this thing in Europe, this political system that's ingrained, and there's an underground society, but none of it ever comes to any fruition.
The prince was also Theodore from Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Oh, was he? I don't remember that.
That was his name, right?
Theodore?
The new Watcher.
Wesley?
Wesley.
It was not Wesley.
I'm pretty sure it was Wesley.
Wyndham Price. That's the name of that actor is Wyndham Price, and I'm pretty sure he never appeared. He may have appeared in Grimm, but he was not the prince in Europe. It was a different actor.
Well, I'm pretty sure he was in it.
The prince, he may have been in it, but the prince in Europe had a distinctive face. He was much more gnarled looking than that guy. He had bumpy his face, and ruggedly handsome.
Okay. Well, then it might not have been Wyndham Price that I'm thinking of.
No, I don't think it was.
Because I thought someone said that.
Oh, wait a second.
What?
No, nothing. I started thinking about What's the name of the Wyndham character? Wyndham Earl is
Wyndham
yeah,
Earl,
I
yes.
started thinking.
Twin Peaks.
So the esoteric plot, which doesn't get revealed, like it's supposed to be at the end of the second season. They're taking Nick to Europe, so we're finally getting into it, and then the plane crashes immediately after at the start of season 3 because it's the soap opera problem. People don't watch your show to be surprised. They watch your show because it's routine. So you have to ground the characters in one setting. I mean, the other thing is, I don't know the logistics of being like every episode is now going to be in Belgium.
You can change things
France.
up without making them unpredictable. There's an in between. You can go.
Well, this is my question.
There's such thing as an expected surprise.
No, I definitely think if they were going that direction with the show, then he should have gone to Europe.
He should have gone to Europe.
The thing is, if you take him to Europe, it ceases becoming a police procedural. But, I mean...
He could become a member of the FBI or something.
Why would he be in Europe and be a member of the FBI?
Something about American agents.
That's CIA, Jacob.
Yeah, but that's a different thing. I don't know. Maybe he moves to Europe and becomes a police officer.
In Europe?
Yeah.
This is the issue. First of all, they made the conflict in another part of the world.
Okay, wait.
The conflict should be in Oregon if that's where the show is going to take place. All the conflict should be taking place in Europe. In Oregon. You shouldn't have characters who are over in Luxembourg doing their thing if the thing that they're doing is not going to get back in any reasonable way.
Maybe it shouldn't take place in Portland, Oregon. That's a thought.
That is a suggestion. We could definitely contemplate that. I mean, I don't think we could make it take place in Europe, I guess. The characters would have to be different.
I think it should take place in New England because that's where all the European immigrants went.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I'd be up for that.
Portland, Maine.
Oh, yeah. Then you just have to change the state. But we talked about the show a little bit. What's good about the show is the stuff that I mentioned, that it was a police procedural, or I guess I shouldn't say procedural. I'm sure there's a word for it. Is it police procedural? It's like oh God, it's all based off Law and Order, right? All the cop shows are based off Law and Order. Is Law and Order a police procedural?
I don't know what a police procedural is.
It's about the procedure of being a police person. Officer.
Yeah. That's a trope?
No, it's a genre. Yeah, it was a police procedural. That's what was good about it. It stopped being that at one point. It became more like... It was the same problem with Sleepy Hollow. It's all these...
Right, Sleepy... I forgot about Sleepy Hollow.
We all forgot about Sleepy Hollow, Jacob. It's all these TV shows that cropped up in the 2010s based around Monster of the Week, supernatural threats.
Yeah.
And Sleepy Hollow, from what I remember, was done fairly well in terms of special effects and theme. It had an aesthetic, and it was creepy in a not overbearing way. It was creepy in a subtle way.
The Four Horsemen thing was kind of exciting, something to anticipate.
Yeah,
the foregoing of the apocalypse.
But it's the same. It's the same problem that always happens with these shows. Which is, and I think it's the same thing that happened to the show The Fringe.
The Fringe?
Which was like The X-Files, but more...
As in the hairstyle.
The
Fringe.
It's the name of a TV show. I think it ran for 6 seasons. It was like The X-Files, but it was more... it was less ambiguous and more overt in its supernatural qualities.
That really means something, because I didn't find The X-Files very ambiguous.
Yeah, it was basically there was basically no ambiguity. It was basically like the X-Files on steroids is what it was. The Fringe, but from what I heard, the Fringe in like its fourth or third season, it became basically just about this like multiverse plot. This like multiple this string theory, multiple realities.
Uh-huh.
Is this person like the person from our reality or a person from a different reality? It's the same thing with Sleepy Hollow, where at one point I believe like this old man turns out to be the main character's son, who was like put in like he was like paralyzed, but he didn't like rot, and then he like came back and like aged over the course of 70 years before. It's as the supernatural plot continues, the complexity of the plot somehow becomes bigger and bigger, and it becomes more and more difficult to care about anything, because it's like, well, why the fuck should I care whether or not this old man is his son from 70 years ago? That doesn't make any sense.
There's a brand new show on Netflix that I would much rather watch.
Right. It's like, well, you took all the fun out of it. Like, why am I didn't watch this to find out that, spoilers, Juliet is actually like a witch who's been given like amnesia and had her magic powers suppressed temporarily for some complicated plot against.
We didn't watch that far
groups.
enough.
No,
it was a complete spoiler in the wiki.
Because we stopped in the third season
because
it was already bad by then.
Clipped wings, dumb trope.
It doesn't make any sense. Is the thing. If you can't make a character like you can't make a character interesting without being like, well, they're secretly somebody else, or there's secretly something else, and it's all part of this other plot that we never foreshadowed, that we're just injecting here.
Monroe was everyone's favorite character, and there was nothing mysterious about him.
Yes, this is correct. The characters don't have to be.
As far as I know, we didn't read his wiki page.
Well, I'm sure they ruined him at some point. I'm sure something turned up and it was like, it turns out that he's actually a cannibal or something at one point in the series. I don't know. They have to manufacture drama somehow, and the way that it's. The problem with these movies, the problem with these TV shows is that when they start out, the characters are already in a good place. And then they go through bad phases while trying to stay good people. That's not how it should be. They should start out.
Journey.
What?
The hero's journey.
Yeah, but they shouldn't be good people at the start of the journey. They should be bad. They should be bad people.
Underdeveloped people.
They should be damaged people, or like people who have abject character flaws, who grow in surprising ways over the course of the story.
I mean, so at the beginning, Nick, he thinks he's just hallucinating. He might be going crazy. And that's the thing for everyone who suddenly sees a vest and they think, maybe I'm crazy, and that actually means something.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing, is that they're all of these shows being based off, or most of them being based off the supernatural formula, being based off Buffy the Vampire Slayer, because Buffy the Vampire Slayer came before Supernatural. In Buffy the Vampire Slayer, the characters were not whole when you first met them. They were like pathetic in various ways, and they were forced to adapt as the stakes got higher and as they lost things that they cared about.
Yeah.
The focus, the supernatural aspects of the story should not mean that it becomes this huge existential thing that's too dense for anyone to ever give a shit about.
I mean,
the supernatural, which is the problem with Harry Potter, is this exact same thing, where the magic needs to be well-defined and simple, like Avatar, from the beginning, and then it can grow in complexity as you go, but it has to remain a simple thing that is easy to understand so that the audience can care about it and relate to it. Because the real world is not an esoteric place where an old man can turn out to be your 70-year-old son.
Okay, well, let's...
And now that we've gotten that over, let's talk about
True Blood.
Let's talk. Yeah, True. Well, True Blood is the same thing, right? I think all those
at the
Charmed. Okay. I think it's the same thing. It's like vampires fighting demons. It's all part of the supernatural TV show craze, and this is like two different crazes bundled in one.
At one point, we find out there's a fairy dimension, and they don't talk about that for the next 3 seasons.
Oh, in True Blood?
Yeah. A fairy dimension.
Yeah, that's the thing, is that the issue with these shows is that they're trying to straddle the line between the X-Files, right? Where it is like a human drama to some extent, right? It's like relatable, and these are like people dealing with like real world systems and trying to prosecute people.
Yeah.
And the Teen Titans, which is people dealing with random supernatural threats that come from different places that don't really link up together, but it doesn't have to link up because it doesn't take itself that much seriously. And trying to keep those two things together is like trying to run through a storm without getting wet.
I mean, supposedly
it's like trying to catch smoke.
In the Teen Titans, all the big conflicts came from the main characters. They all had their own enemies to fight.
This is also true. Well, it's the same thing with character development. The character changes over the course of the actual series. All right, so let's talk about how we would fix it. We've dumped on the show, and I think on other Sleepy Hollow and Supernatural and True Blood and Once Upon a Time, and what was the other one? There was another one. The Fringe and the X-Files. Enough. Let's talk about how we would make the show better if we had creative control over it.
Yeah.
So we developed a bunch of lore, but what I'm thinking is that for the purposes of this video, we're just going to describe the episodes and what is revealed in those episodes over the course of the season, just to avoid like making it overly complex.
Yeah.
So
to start,
Grimm, season 1, episode 1. So is it going to take place in Portland, Maine, or on in the New England somewhere? We don't have to be specific, but that definitely it changes the ecology of the area slightly.
Somewhere near the forest, right?
Yeah, there are forests. I mean, I haven't been there, but I've been told that there are forests in New England. As a joke, I've been to New England. There are forests there.
So how about Utica?
Utica?
Yeah.
Utica.
Utica.
Utica is going to be the place where this show is centered. And Utica is going to be where there's this big supernatural like conspiracy.
I don't know. I just think that
Utica.
That's where the forests are. Okay.
Well, do we want it to be in Maine or do we want it to be south of Maine?
Let's make it Maine.
Okay. That's the same thing. I mean, I haven't seen. Just going back to the earlier point, I haven't seen Castle Rock on Hulu because I enjoy having money, but it comes across as having the same issues.
I watched this show about a guy who gets hit in the head and he becomes an oracle. He can predict the future, and it's
and he works
for
what is
gypsies.
Spiner, Tapper, Finder.
Why?
It's like something. Yeah, he's like a veteran. He gets hit in the head. He can
veteran.
I thought he was like a veteran, but he gets hit in the head. The show
I'm talking about isn't about a veteran.
He gets hit in the head, and then like he can. He's like a psychic consultant for the police department.
The police department? No, I'm not. That isn't what I'm talking about.
These are two different shows.
Different shows.
Okay.
Yeah, he gets kicked in the face.
Okay.
By a guy who he got angry because he's he pretends to predict the future because he does the card thing, and so he told this lady that a guy was cheating on her, and that guy got angry and he kicked him in the face.
Like he knocked him down and then he kicked him, or he
Yes,
just
he
did
knocked him
like
down
a
and kicked him in
flying
the
kick
face.
to the face.
He knocked him down and kicked him in the face.
Okay.
Anyway.
What was the name of this show?
Maybe Third Eye?
Third Eye? That's stupid. Alright, so episode 1, main. Are we going to have it that he's adopted or is he adopted? His parents are dead. Are we going to have it that his parents are dead?
He isn't adopted because his mother was a Grimm too.
Yeah, but his parents have been killed at the start of the series, if I remember correctly. He was orphaned. His parents are dead. He was raised by his aunt.
Was killed.
Now, his aunt gets killed in the episode, but his parents are already dead by the time the episode starts.
His father is dead.
No, his mother is dead too.
I'm pretty sure.
I don't believe you.
He wasn't adopted.
Grimm Wiki.
What, like foster parented or something?
Okay, right now, give me a second. I'm looking at the. He was born 1812 to reading burgers, real family. Yeah. Okay, so yeah, his father is dead.
Father's dead. When his mother isn't dead.
Well, did his mother come back?
His mother comes back, yeah.
Okay. Oh, okay. Well, let me...
Remember?
See, I thought his parents were just dead. No, I think he thinks that his parents are dead, and then his mother is...
Well, yeah. Yeah.
His mother's just an asshole.
His mother, yes. Yes, she's a jerk. Because she's been trained to to kill all Vesson, and she only had Nick to pass on the gene.
Stop. So for the purposes of the story that we are telling, is her parents going to be dead, and it's going to be that he was raised by his aunt. Also, bad on his aunt, by the way, for never telling him that he was going to have to fight monsters, and also that like evil creatures called Reapers were going to like hunt him down. Bad form.
Hopefully, supposedly she would be able to hide the his secret so that he wouldn't.
Well, I think it was something like he isn't able to see the Vesson Vogue until he's like 25 or something. But that's stupid. Why would it start that late in
Okay,
life?
no, you know what? Okay, he's going to be raised by his mother so that he can be trained or something.
Yeah, he's going to be raised by his mother. So he's going to be trained.
Yeah.
He's not going to go into this blind.
Mm-hmm.
He's going to be trained.
He's going to learn the secret Grimm martial arts.
Right. Yeah, but he's going to have like misconceptions that are broken down over the course of the series as he becomes. Oh, that could be the main. Maybe that's part of the main conflict of the first season is between him and his mother.
Yeah, the main conflict.
Well, yeah, I mean, his mother's probably going to die at some point. That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah, she's been fighting for a while.
No, she's going to die.
She's going to have to pass on the torch.
Either like at the end of the season. Or is she gonna? No, I don't want her to die in the first episode. That's stupid.
Maybe, at the end of the season.
Yeah. Okay. So main Nick is a member of the police department. Should he be dating Julia then? Is she gonna be a character? Because if he's like, he has a secret life where he knows that he's going to be fighting monsters.
He'll break up with her on the first episode. Yeah.
she shouldn't be even in the series if she's not going to actually. If there's not
Okay,
going to be a point to her being
that was my first option.
Okay. Well, you always go with your first gut instinct reaction.
Yeah, and your first gut instinct is to always kick Julia out.
I was yours and you were me. We were so in love it was obscene. We designed the drum machines. Alright, Nick is a member of the police department. He has been trained by his stone cold mother to murder them. Hassan, but has not fought any as of yet.
Maybe he.
Wait a second.
What?
So if this town has the town that he's in has like a large vested presence, should it be that he was like raised in like North Dakota, let's say, in a town with no Vesson, and his mother sent him to this main town to deal with what she believes is a problem there, which is like the big overarching conspiracy and the connection back to everything.
So she went to North Dakota to make sure that he stays alive as a kid?
Yeah, probably.
Okay.
There's like a remote place, hermited away, where he did all his training, and then he's being sent.
And then everyone thinks he's really boring because he's from a rural area.
Oh yeah. It can be like they think of him like Clark Kent, kind of.
Yeah.
They're like, oh yeah, there's Nick, right? He's like this wholesome guy from the a flyover state. Secretly, he's a
flyover state.
You know what a flyover state
I know what a flyover state is. I can guess.
Well, and then it can also be that he's like he's homeschooled because his mother taught him pretty much everything.
Yeah.
He probably so he might be like a little bit socially awkward. In terms of the police department, him getting a job there, he's like a newcomer as well. Is this going to be like a big city that he's stationed in, or is it going to be like a small, sleepy little town?
I don't recall what Portland, Maine was like.
Well, it doesn't have to be Portland, Maine. I think Portland, Maine is a fairly large city. Like,
okay, so
like not as big as Columbia, or maybe a little bit smaller.
Okay.
Look it up.
So should it be
Portland,
on the
Maine
coast?
What?
Should it be on the coast?
Visit Portland, Maine. It has a population of 67,000. Yeah, I mean the coast is always nice. It looks like it's next to a river though. I like that.
Yeah. And
oh no, it's not. It's surrounded by it is next to a river. Well, wait a second. Is this just the?
What is this?
Let me zoom out. Are we just looking at the Atlantic Ocean? Yeah, we're just looking at the Atlantic Ocean. So it's next to a river, but it's surrounded by water.
Yeah.
But it's kind of like a little peninsula sticking out. Yeah. So that'll work fine. It's 67,000. It's a fairly large number. Yeah, so then it can be like he's like the rookie, but really he's like super, super competent because of his training.
Mm-hmm.
And then he's like he's a little bit socially awkward because he hasn't spent a lot of time around other people.
Mm-hmm.
And then he's a little because he's like an only child and he probably didn't have any friends because he spent all his time learning karate.
Hatchet throwing.
Yeah, hatchet throwing. Exactly, hatchet throwing. So he's a little overly intense.
Yeah.
And a little withdrawn. And he's also a little bit naive, probably. Or he seems naive, at least to other people. But he's really like, I have to go and kill a bunch of creatures.
And he has weird nightmares that he's never been able to explain.
Sure. Okay. Yeah. Nick is a member. Nick. Should we start it off with him arriving in Maine, or should there be like a scene in South Dakota where his mother's like, they have like a conversation before she sends him off to deal with this?
Start in Maine. We can explain that he came from North Dakota later.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. So we started off. We start with Nick arriving in Portland. Arriving in Portland. Um, Showing up for like an employee seminar.
Yeah. Employee seminar.
Like we get you ready right before like there's a
Mm.
you know what I'm talking about, right? Like an employee orientation sort of thing. We see him in it.
So it's just you mean like a guy standing in front of a whole bunch of employees?
Yeah, and like
on day one.
explaining conduct and stuff or something like that.
And that's just something that all cops go through
Well,
on graduation
I
day or
assume
something.
I assume that's what all people who get jobs go through is some kind of orientation to be like this is how you're going to clock your hours. This is how this. You have to remember this, and this.
I never thought of it that way.
I assume you don't just show up one day and it's like, oh yeah, there's your desk. Now get started. They ease you into it. So
Okay. Okay, so there's a seminar.
well, right. We're not going to see a lot of the orientation, but we see him in the orientation basically, and then maybe because I think like him, the way that the Grimms maybe sense Vesson is like more intense.
Yeah.
In this version, so when he does it,
cold sweat or something.
No, it could be like he can like sense them without even looking at them. But I was thinking it was like a thing that he activates where like his vision turns like black and white and like dark around the edges, and he like focuses in on each person.
Yeah.
And then maybe like in the black and white world, like people who are Vesson are like they show up as Vesson in while he's in that vision.
I was thinking,
but not outside of it.
I was thinking when
unless they turn
during the seminar there would be some sort of thing that the guy says to that's really stressful, and then a bunch of all the Vesson they start vogue because they're stressed.
Oh well, I was gonna have it that he looks around the room to see if any of the police officers there are Vesson.
So he already knows that he's a Grimm.
Well, yeah, he's been trained by his mother to kill people.
Yeah, I wasn't sure.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm imagining this is him. Like I need to. He's checking, right? This is like the first time that he's doing this in a public place because he wants to know whether or not the people he's going to be working with are.
Okay, so
are Vesson.
He gets up and walks around and
No, he's sitting at like the back of the room, and he like puts his head down and his eyes turn black, and he just like quickly looks around the room, and we see what that vision looks like, and it's like black and white, or it can be like sepia toned or something.
Sepia toned, which means
like brown and white basically, or like blue and white depending on what kind it is. Sepia is like old photos.
Yeah. Okay.
So he looks around the room, and it's like this weird grainy vision, and he sees that all of them are human, and then his eyes back. Well, because we as the audience, we see this guy arrive. The audience see this guy arrive in Portland, right?
Yeah.
He smiles at like I don't know, like the stewardess or something. We see him go
maybe he has some sort of sunglasses that he has a
justification for. Yeah, that would work. Yeah, he like takes out the sunglasses while he's in the orientation, puts them on. His eyes.
Yeah.
We see behind the sunglasses his eyes go black. And
for the people who have watched Grimm, if you can recall, they pull that exact thing near the end of season 3. And during the Red Wedding.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. To set up the thing, because he's going to be surrounded by Vesson and didn't want anyone to see. his black eyes when they
Oh,
vogue.
he uses sunglasses to.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it would make sense in here when he knows what he's doing. He doesn't
Yeah.
want to alert anyone to his presence.
Right.
Also, I'm imagining regular people can see his eyes turn black.
Yeah.
Like a human, if another human being looks at him while he's doing that, they're like, "What the fuck, man? Your iris has just disappeared into your."
Okay. So is there this? Is there that subliminal vogue too? Like a Vesson would vogue.
No, I imagine when he goes into like dark vision mode, he can immediately see who is and is not a Vesson.
And the only other way to see them is by the basic vogue.
Is by them transforming from human form into form, which anyone can see.
Yes.
Okay, so we started thinking about in Portland, dropping off his bags at an apartment. We see he has. We see a box get delivered to his room. He opens it up, and it has a. Should he have like a contact? Like there's a person in Portland who works for his mom? That could be Hank. Hank could be an old friend of his mom, who is the person who's working with the Grimms in Portland.
Yeah. Wait, how many Grimms are there?
Like 12 to 16 across the entire world at any given time.
In Portland?
Only him for now.
Okay. And there's a
his mom's back in North Dakota.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So the Hank is the guy who contacts, and what does he do?
We see Hank. We see Hank appears at Nick's apartment, gives him a box, and tells him to meet him later that night. Nick opens the box. Inside is a crossbow and maybe like a short sword, depending on what kind of weapons he's going to be using. Should it be that they can only be damaged by like silver or something?
No, that gets way too gimmicky.
Well, what it would mean is that normal people probably wouldn't be able to kill them, is what it would mean. It would mean like someone with a gun cannot kill a Vesson.
Yeah, but you can make a silver bullet.
Unless they have a silver bullet, yes. So I mean, it doesn't have to be that way. I just think in terms of mysticism,
this silver thing is overused.
I mean, it's part of like fairy tales and like myth in Europe.
I know. But that's overused.
It's overused?
Yeah. In True Blood, the vampires they can be damaged by silver. And so there becomes this whole industrialization about getting silver bullets and stuff. It's weird. And electrolyzed silver water. I get tired of it.
Well, just because you have watched True Blood and are tired of it does not mean that necessarily the audience are going to be tired.
Is there some reason why they wouldn't be able to get killed? Why they couldn't get killed by bullets, but they could get killed by swords and arrows?
Well, the reason why would be that if, let's say, any human being with a machine gun can kill a Vesson.
Yeah.
Why then do the Grimms need to exist?
That's fair. On the other hand, why don't the Grimms just tell the world that Vesson exists, and then they can wipe them all out?
Because no one would believe them.
I mean, they could tie up a Vesson and record their voguing or something. That could happen.
No, but the only reason a person turns is if they're like transforming into a monster.
Right. Transforming into a monster.
Yeah, that's what we just said. Is that the only like the Grimms can see them in their true forms when they're not transformed, but they have to transform. Also, I mean, I'm just saying, like, if any human beings can deal with this issue, if it's not that there has to be this elite group of people who are the only ones capable of doing this.
Okay, so the Vesson are sort of invincible to regular humans, but the Grimm have like the charm that allows them to kill Vesson. Right? Is that it?
So if a regular person stabbed one of the Vesson, they would be fine. But if a Grimm stabs them, it's deadly. The thing we discussed is making it that the Grimms are like supernaturally strong. But even then, if a regular person with a gun would still be able to
what if
deal with the issue.
They can't be killed by earthly weapons, but the like a Grimm could.
Magic exists in this world. Magic is based on like rules that are trivial.
Yes.
Okay. Like silver hurting someone, or not being able to cross running water, or not being able to get into a house uninvited. That's what magic is in folk tales.
Okay.
I think the silver thing would work fine. We can make it something else if you want, but we should decide now.
The silver thing's fine.
Okay.
Is there some reason why they can't just get heaps of silver?
Who?
Grimm?
Well, they have like a giant international organization trying to murder them at all time, and like monsters hunting them down. And so it's a little bit stressful, but yeah.
And they can't just tell anyone.
Well, it would make sense if his mother, for instance, has like a stockpile of silver that she owns and that she makes a bunch of weapons out of.
She made an investment in silver in the 90s.
Well,
when silver was all the rage.
Why don't we have it that whatever, it can be North Dakota, but it can also be like, what's the silver state?
The silver state?
There's a state where there was like a silver rush at one point or something. There's a state where they got a bunch of silver. Alaska, silver state.
Nevada.
It's Nevada.
I would not think of that as a silver place.
Okay, he can be from Nevada then. That is a different. Okay, well then she owns like a stockpile in Nevada.
Okay.
Yeah, cool. So
is she like
inside is a crossbow and some silver knives.
Is she like rich?
She's like country rich. She owns a lot of property, but her house isn't really big.
Okay. I mean, country rich people have big houses too.
Some of them. She has like a.
In the cottonocracy, they all had big houses.
She lives in in the South. I'm talking about like Midwest country rich.
See, I've never met a Midwest country rich person.
She lives in like a pretty small house in a remote area, but she has a lot of investments.
Right.
She has like money from things that she's invested in. She owns this silver mine or whatever.
But it's
and she has contacts in multiple states.
Compared to a house in a big city.
No, I was just imagining it being like a regular sized house. Even being kind of decrepit. Like she does not live in a nice place.
Okay.
Because she doesn't care about that stuff and she doesn't want to be detected.
Yes. Okay. All right. That's it. I got it. I understand.
So Nick opens the box. Inside is a crossbow and some silver knives. We see Nick.
What if the arrow is made of silver and he has to reuse it? Because he can't just keep shooting silver arrows all the time. It
could be that the crossbow is enchanted.
Enchanted? Like it.
It's enchanted to make the bolts tipped with silver. Or it can be that only weapons, only things made of silver and magical weapons enchanted weapons are able to harm.
At that point, why not just have enchanted weapons and no silver?
Well, because those would be presumably much rarer to come by. First of all, because not all the Grimm can cast magic.
Okay. I understand.
Also, you'd either need a Grimm who can cast magic, or you would need one of the people who have been given magic by the enemy, who have now betrayed the enemy.
So we've been quite vague about exactly what.
We don't have to get into it right now, but basically, Nick opens the box, and we see Nick showing up for orientation. I'm imagining we also through this we have cuts to a young girl being watched from a house by a man with binoculars.
So it's just she's in conversation with her parents, and then suddenly
her walking
goes done, and she's being watched by binoculars.
No, it should be like she's like on the top of a hill, and she's like talking to other kids her age, like 8 or 9 year olds. They're like playing on the top of this hill.
Okay, well now it's a bit alarming. It's
supposed to be alarming.
Yeah, but it's a different kind of alarming now.
Thank you. That's it. Then we see Nick showing up for employee orientation. He puts on the sunglasses and looks around the room.
And he sees. What does he see?
He sees that all of them are human.
Okay.
Everybody in the orientation.
That's sort of disappointing.
Well, it's supposed to be his first time doing this,
okay. So the audience doesn't know what's happening yet. The audience. This is the first time it's mentioned in the.
The audience has no idea what's happening. This guy arrives in Portland. He talks to this person who is like a friend of his mother, who brings him a box which has a crossbow and knives in it, like short swords, gladiuses. He then goes on to them, cut to this young girl is being watched by a guy from a house. Falchions. And then we see in orientation he does something weird with his eyes. He looks at everybody differently, and then he shuts it off. He sees that everyone in orientation is human. If Hank is going to be a friend of his mom's, should Juliet be another officer?
That would be so she isn't just Juliet. She's the love interest
Officer Hardem.
Officer.
Whatever Juliet's last name is. Because I don't remember it.
Hardem.
Because we didn't talk about it a lot. Oh god, I'll look it up. Sure. Why not?
We still have Captain Sean Renard. Captain Renard.
I mean, we can have it that he is. Well, the other thing is, in our version of events, he's not a Vesson. He is a person who's been given power by the. Right? He's been granted magical power by the demons. So. He's not a.
But he betrayed the demons?
No, he's working for them at the start of the series.
Okay. And then
I'm imagining he's not like totally on board with everything they're doing. He's in this.
He's at the mercy of them.
Well, I was going to say he's in this for power, and he's going to betray them whenever the opportunity presents itself. He's trying to get the best deal out of this.
I never really got any of the character traits of Sean Renard.
He's stoic and good looking.
Stoic is such an easy character trait.
Silverton is her name, so Officer Silverton is what it would be. She's a doctor. What?
Silverton. Yeah. So.
Okay. Nick meets Captain Renard. Yeah, I'm imagining Renard is like, he's like a person who works with the, he's on the lower end of this crime system, syndicate, basically.
Yeah.
And he's not up for everything that they're doing, but he's willing to work for them if it benefits him, with the intent that eventually he will betray the people who think that they're above him in the rank and seize whatever power they have. Maybe he has like a goal. He wants to be magically powerful enough to cast some kind of ritual to like either bring back a dead loved one or send himself back in time or do some one particular thing that he believes he can do if he continues to work with these people and if he gains power. This is a slippery slope thing. But he's already like halfway down the slope by the time that we meet him.
Okay. Yeah.
So Nick meets Captain Renard. Captain Renard assigns Officer Silverton to
Nick Burkhardt.
Show Nick around.
Yeah. So they're not partners, right?
No, I mean, he's making her his partner. He's making Silverton Nick's superior. Like she's supposed to bring him into the fold, basically teach him everything.
And
because I'm imagining he has like he went to a police academy. He has like some experience in law enforcement in the town where he was as like a deputy or something, but he hasn't been in a big city.
So Officer Silverton, what's she like?
Sarcastic and unimpressed.
Sarcastic as in having fun with it, or sarcastic as in stoic?
Well, she's not stoic. I'm imagining she's like, this shit. No, like that kind of attitude.
All right. Yeah, I got that. That's
like Renard is like kind of this stiff military by the book kind of guy. Silverton's like had enough.
What is wrong with the system?
Well, maybe she's just like, she's like 30 something. All her long-term relationships have ended poorly. She doesn't. She doesn't have a good relationship with her family. Life has not gone well for her.
She's unable to break through the glass ceiling.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, depending, that could be part of her character too. Yeah, she's basically like
she was never able to impress her father.
It's like death of the salesman. She's like halfway through her life and she hasn't accomplished anything.
Right.
And maybe she's an alcoholic. We really made her just an awful character. Not like awful things have happened to her, or she's like really depressed. Now I'm imagining she's like snappy.
Yeah.
She's not super enthusiastic about pretty much anything.
Okay.
Okay. Silverton is reluctant, but takes Nick on to the shooting gallery to see what he has, see what he can do, and is impressed by his skills. She asks if he's military, and he says no.
Well, I was the deputy of my hometown.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, and she can like call him like Smallville.
Hick.
Yeah, or the equivalent or something like that. Like
Farm boy.
yeah, farm boy or something like that. Yeah. Or like if he's from, or if he's, let's say he's from Montana, she calls him like Montana, or she thinks that he's from Montana. Like he says that he's from North Dakota, she thinks he's from Montana.
Yeah.
She calls him Montana. So then we see the man.
Or Idaho.
We see the man with the binoculars. Walking through his house. It has pictures of, imagine like drawings pasted to the wall of like monsters.
Those are in his house. Wait, what is this? He's going in a house.
This is the guy with the binoculars.
Okay.
He's walking through his own house, and his own house has pictures of monsters posted to the wall.
He's going upstairs
No,
with a briefcase.
He's walking downstairs into the basement.
And he's bringing a bowl of dirt and worms.
Downstairs into the basement with a hatchet. He walks down.
Time for target practice.
Unlocks a. He walks down, unlocks a cast iron door. Walks into a second basement. Where there are a number of cages.
And in the cages are women.
Now, he opens one of the cages and
It's a vessel?
no, it's gonna have that there's a corpse in there, and he like drags it out and like hacks up the bones with the hatchet.
Okay.
Into like splinters and stuff.
And that's the whole scene?
Yes. He's just cleaning out this one cage, basically. And then maybe he takes the padlock and like runs it under some hot water upstairs, and then like looks out the kitchen window at like the night, at the forest in the night. Something like that. Cages, drags out a dried up skeletal corpse, and hacks it up. Then I'm imagining Nick meets Hank in a bar room. They discuss what Hank has learned about the Wesson here. And I'm imagining Hank is kind of paranoid.
Yeah.
Because he is not a Grimm. He works with them. But he can't sense who is and is not a Wesson. And he is paranoid.
We're completely changing all these personalities.
Yes, we are. Hank is
planning on getting that personalities to start. So.
A little bit paranoid. Yeah, I mean Hank was not a strong character to begin with.
There were a lot of those in this show.
Let's say. Okay. They discuss Hank is a little bit paranoid. And so this episode 1, and I'm imagining maybe Nick is walking back to his car.
Yeah.
his car with Hank. And they get attacked by a Reaper.
Okay, so there's someone. They sneak. So he hears like bristling, and he looks out, and he does the eye thing.
Yes.
And we see his black eyes, and then the
and then
yeah,
the thing like leaps out from and like tackles him. Yeah. Nick hears a noise, stops, does the eye thing. He like should we call it like the true sight, or like
should it just be a German thing?
It could be a German thing. Let me get the all Google Translate.
And the Spiderwick Chronicles too.
It says Wacherhafken Gate. That's just truthfulness.
Okay.
True eye. Where's Og?
Where's Og?
Or I guess it would be Veritas Og.
Veritas Og.
Veritas Og.
We don't need to go German.
Yeah, I mean, I think it'd be fine if it's called like the scrying. It can be called scrying.
Scrying. All right. Which means
looking into the future magically.
Right.
In this case, it's like sensing information that's being withheld.
Yeah.
Here's a noise. Scries. And a Reaper jumps out.
So they're just right next to the forest or something?
No, they're in like a back alley.
Like
they went to a bar. They went out the back entrance. They're in like a shitty parking lot with like a gravel parking lot, and it's dark. And this thing jumps out and attacks them.
Right.
And attacks Nick. Nick stabs the creature a couple of times. Hank grabs I was imagining like he grabs something out of the back of his pickup truck and hits the Reaper with it.
And
like a crowbar, maybe? A crowbar would make sense.
Okay. So do the Reapers suffer the same thing as the Vessens with the silver?
I'm imagining the Reapers are like zombies. You could kill them with a shotgun because they're just like withered up human beings.
So there are just a lot of them.
Well, I'm imagining they're also very quick.
Yeah.
And they like carry around knives. For some reason, I was imagining them having knives for hands, but that's not what they were like. Unless we want them to be like that.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want them to have knives for hands? Like walk around like spiders?
Okay, well, yes, now. Okay. Yes.
Nick stabs the creature a couple times. Hank grabs a crowbar and hits the creature over the head. Nick shoves it off and cuts off its head. It wilts and rots away after being killed. Or maybe Hank grabs a crowbar and hits the creature over the head. It stabs Hank. Nick rushes Hank back to his apartment.
Mm-hmm.
And then we see... I was imagining that this episode ended with like guy with the binoculars stalking the little girl through the woods. And then, like, that's the end of it. And then maybe we see, like, from the little girl's perspective, she starts running, and then, like, this monster, like, jumps out of the bushes and attacks her.
Okay. And the monster is
the guy with the binoculars.
Okay.
A wolf Vesson.
Blutbad.
Yeah. Well, we're not using other names for them because we changed what some of them were.
Yeah, they don't all have to have names.
Yeah. Nick rushes Hank back to his apartment. So then Nick rushes Hank back to the apartment. Nick stabilizes Hank and collapses in the living room. He tries to write down what happened in his log, but can't. He dozes off, and he has one of his nightmares. About himself and Officer Silverton.
He's running through a maze, and there are 2 zombies, and he punches one, and then he collapses.
No, I was going to say walking through.
And then you can see his family looking at him from the distance.
The woods.
But he can't scream for them.
And hearing awful screaming coming from like howling and snarling coming from all around them, hissing and stuff.
I had some dark dreams.
And hearing young girl with a red hood is walking to school.
Red hood. She's riding to school on a bike.
Yeah, on a bike. Is riding to school on a bike. Creature, or maybe she's riding her bike.
Yeah.
The bike like jumps and she falls, right, and like skins her knee or something.
Okay.
She starts crying, and then we see perspective of a thing like marching through the woods. Mm-hmm. And then she looks up and hears like a low growling noise, and this thing jumps out at her. And that's the end of the first episode.
All right.
Cool. And then like in the second episode, I'm imagining Hank tells Nick a little about his experience with the Vesson, a little bit about like maybe he tells Hank what his mother told him about the Reapers. I'm imagining like they find the mangled corpse of this girl. Nick believes that this is I guess they wouldn't find her if he's going to drag her body into a cage. She just goes missing.
And they're investigating.
They may find like blood, but she's missing. Oh, and I guess then that would make sense then for him to have the case if it's like a missing persons case.
Yeah.
And he's not super experienced.
He's super experienced because...
No, I mean if he's not super experienced versus putting him on like a murder case that would be having a lot of media attention. They'd put him on something low profile.
Okay.
So he gets assigned to this missing person case.
A missing kid is kind of high media profile.
Yeah, but like if they don't find the person, then nobody's gonna be like police corruption, right? It's just like they're gone.
Okay.
Like if it's a murder and they don't find anybody, people will be angry. But if someone's gone missing, and
Fire him! Fire him! Fire!
there won't be people looking for blood. But then in the second episode, I imagine he meets Monroe.
Monroe, yes.
I'm imagining they have a much more violent confrontation than they did in the original version of the series.
Hey, want to come inside? Got drinks. You're paying for that window.
I was imagining like he senses, maybe he like holds like a town meeting for the district that the little girl went missing in.
Yeah.
He does the thing with he scries on all the people in the town meeting. He sees Monroe
with his sunglasses on.
Yeah, with his sunglasses. He's doing the meeting with his sunglasses on. That's right, because he's a cool dude. Maybe that can be another thing that like Officer Silverton makes fun of him about, that he's always wearing his sunglasses. But yeah, he sees Monroe. He tracks down. He like follows Monroe out after the meeting. Follows him home. Is prepared to like kill him.
Monroe just pretends to not notice.
Yeah. He breaks in. Monroe tackles him. They like fight. Monroe proves to be like stronger than he anticipated, but then like does not want to actually kill him.
I mean, it's pretty risky for him to just fight Grimm.
Yeah. Well, I'm imagining he wouldn't run away if it's like his home. It's like a place where he belongs. Like he has a sense of ownership over the house, and like that's his territory. He has to protect it. But I'm imagining he disarms Nick and like shows mercy on him.
And
he gives him he puts together a scotch for himself, right, and then makes some for Nick, and
they have a talk about the missing persons case. He's like, so Nick's like, are there any other of your kind here?
Yeah. And then he points him to like, there's one other person in this neighborhood who is a
wolf.
Yeah. Well, who's a Vesson probably in this specific neighborhood.
Yeah, but he's looking for wolves.
Yeah. But he wouldn't know that though, unless like at the crime scene he finds traces somehow that other people don't.
This is the tendency of
he could find like tracks.
He's the most likely Vesson to be the culprit.
Oh yeah, it could be something like that. That's true. From like the logs, the diaries that he has from the previous Grimm. Or maybe it's multiple phases. Like he follows him back. They fight. Monroe beats him. He's like he's like all like torn up, but Monroe like takes mercy on him. Nick leaves, right? And then later, either like the next day, maybe, or the next night, he comes back to talk to Monroe and to ask for his help because he doesn't think he did it.
So Monroe isn't nearly as friendly
at first, but then they get like they become like a brotherly relationship as it goes on.
Yeah. All right. That makes more sense.
And then maybe Hank can be helping Nick like do research, and Nick hides from him that he's working with Monroe
because Hank is a racist.
Because Hank's paranoid. Hank is like Nick's mother. He thinks that all of the Vesson are dangerous.
Yeah,
for like
he's racist.
Society. Yeah, kind of. I guess you could say. I mean, they're not really a separate race, but sure. In this version of events, they're not like a parallel evolutionary being. They're
just
It's
human
never
beings.
established.
They're like human beings that have been changed by something.
All right. So at some point he,
That's, and then I guess does he? And then what I was gonna think is that actually it turns out it's not.
it is not the other Blutbad.
It is not
Yeah,
the
the
other
other wolf man.
Blutbad. Yeah, no, I was gonna have it that maybe the guy with the binoculars.
Guy with the binoculars, who is a different person.
The guy with the binoculars is a different person. He is. I was gonna have it. Tell me how you feel about this. The little girl is a Vesson.
Yeah.
And he is like, he's kind of like Hank. He's like this. He's a crazy person who lives all by himself, and he kidnaps people and kills them in his basement.
And that's it.
Yeah,
he's just a serial killer.
Yeah, but he only targets Vesson essentially.
Oh,
and maybe that would then be because that would link in.
I was thinking he would be a serial killer, but then he gets himself wrapped up in Vesson stuff, and that gets him killed.
Oh. Like the girl is a Vesson,
yeah,
and then her family like break into his house,
and
kill him, horribly, and then Nick has to decide whether or not he's going to, or maybe Nick has to decide whether or not he's going to try and defend the serial killer from the family of werewolves, or if he's going to let them murder him.
Yeah, well, I do not know. He has to choose between, trying to maybe catching all the Vesson who killed the serial killer, or just letting it go, right? That's what you're saying?
He has to choose between murdering or prosecuting the people who killed the serial killer to get back their daughter, right? Or their niece or whatever, right? But if he does that, then the little girl is going to be alone, basically. Like, that's her family. He's going to take away her family if he does that. So he decides to let it be.
What if they're wolves? They're a pack or something.
Yeah, that's what I'm imagining.
All right.
The little girl is a Blutbad, and her family are there's Monroe, and then there's her family.
Should we give them their own names, or should we just use their names?
Let's just call them. They're wolves.
Okay.
They're wolf Vesson. Her whole family are like that, and they all break into the house and murder this crazy. Well, but then it can be that he knows that the girl is Vesson, because I said before, like his house. I'm imagining this guy's obsessed.
Yeah. Okay.
Like then the monster thing from earlier doesn't make sense.
The monster thing. The cat that caught the girl in the red hood.
Yeah, we would have to take that out.
Yeah, we can take that out. That was kind of pointless.
Well, it was just to create. I mean, I guess it could just be like a person slowly walking towards the girl, and then, and maybe like a hand goes around, like a chloroform gag goes around the girl's mouth, and that's like the stinger.
Well, that confirms that it isn't a Vesson.
Does it? I guess it does.
Well, it still could be, but
he could knock her out with a club. I don't know what.
The chloroform is fine.
Yeah. Okay. And then that's like episode 2, basically. And then I guess like Silverton is kind of impressed with Nick when he has brought this girl back to the family, because they create some kind of cover story where she was like lost, basically.
Yeah, that's what they're good at.
Well, because the dead guy got like ripped into pieces, and
not even his bones can be found from their cave.
They don't live in a cave, Jacob. They live in a house.
I was quoting an old movie that I don't remember the name of.
All right. Well, fair enough then. So that's episode 2. We were going to do the whole season. But we kind of established, I think, like what the good starting point is and what the characters are like.
Yeah.
Over the course of the first season, I think the main conflict is then between Nick and his mom. And I'm imagining there's eventually,
Do we?
Maybe the lie deepens between Nick and Hank in episode 3 when Nick consults Monroe's advice again, and then Hank starts to become like paranoid about Nick, and then there's like reconciliation between them in episode 4, or like there's confrontation in episode 4, and reconciliation in that episode when like. Depending on how much we want Monroe to show up in the first few episodes, I was going to try and make it more tempered. Maybe like sort of spread it out more.
We give more attention to Nick.
Yeah, we could do that. It could be that. I don't know. Or it could also be that if Hank, like, I don't know if if we're just gonna have it. Do we want the Reapers to have like poison? So if they stab you, you're poisoned.
I was thinking they would just have death written all over them.
Okay, so poison.
Poison, yeah.
Okay, so then in episode 3, Hank can be
like
poisoned.
Pestilence or something.
Yeah. So in episode 3, Hank is poisoned. Nick tries to find a cure in the journals. He asks for Monroe's help, and Monroe refers him to like a homeopathy shop. Homeopathy shop.
It's just a shop for homeopathy tools.
Run by a Vesson. I'm imagining like a. What?
Who is?
It's. Well, why did you? What did you say?
I said who is.
Oh, okay. No, I was gonna say like.
Could it? Who would it be?
It could be. Stop that. It could be. Stop that right now.
Okay.
It could be. It would make sense if it was Adelaide.
Adelaide.
That's what like.
Is Adelaide a good person?
Oh, in this version of it? Yeah. No, she can be like a. Well, look, like Renard, she's been given power by the demons.
Yeah.
So she is not to that extent in that she's working with these
and she's still...
evil entities that suck the life force out of people. She is not a good person.
Yeah.
But in terms of being like a witch, it would make sense if she makes some kind of deal with Nick, and she gives him something to cure Hank's illness in exchange for he has to help her. And then episode 4 is he helps her.
According to the old story of Hansel and Gretel,
yes,
the witches have red glowing eyes that cause them to have very poor vision, which is how they got out of the thing. They tricked the witch into getting the oven, as you might remember.
I did not know that was a downside of having red glowing eyes, was that you also have really poor vision. I should keep that in mind. Well, that's why the ring wraiths couldn't find Bilbo. They had poor vision. Okay. I mean, do you want it to be that? I mean, but again, she's not a Vesson in this version of it.
Yes.
She's just a person who is being given power. Now, it could be that having magical power has some physically debilitating effect on you in this world. So, like, for instance, maybe it makes her, like, vision impaired or blind. It makes Renard, like, deaf in one ear.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. She would have, like, really big glasses or something.
Or she could have, like trifocals.
Trifocals.
Yeah. Well, like she has multiple different things that are wrong with her vision.
Yes.
And then he can have, like, a hearing aid.
And she can't just get special stuff for it because it's a magical effect and there's no doctor that will be able to help it.
Oh, with the vision?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm imagining that there's the modern technology can, like, subsidize the issue, but it can't Nothing can cure you from it. And if you become more powerful, then the problem gets worse.
Mm-hmm.
Because like the human body was not meant to hold an aspect of a demonic power that way. The Vesson can do it because they have like a part demon soul, so it's like resistant, but the human beings are not.
Okay.
So homeopathy shop run by Adelaide. She makes a deal with Nick to take out another witch.
Another witch?
To take out a rival witch.
Okay.
She wants him to kill someone for her.
Right.
In exchange.
Who turns out to be Renard.
No. It was going to be like an old witch who was like higher up in the hierarchy, in the demonic hierarchy than Adelaide.
So that she can be brought up in rank. Right.
What?
So that she can be brought up in rank?
Yeah, so she can come into favor with. Yeah.
Like a hyena pack.
Kind of. I mean, not really, because they're like it's not being run by women, but sure.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, the demons don't have gender, right?
The demons?
Yeah.
No, I guess it would make sense if they didn't. I was imagining them with gender.
Okay.
But
I can imagine the demons with gender. I was just thinking maybe that's a thing.
No, it could be that they're just like monsters. They lack
because they're intelligent and such.
No, but I mean, like, they don't have the same. If they don't have the same physiology, then describing them in terms of binary sex, like their evolution is different, so they don't have the same sexual organs and stuff.
All right. Maybe they don't have any organs.
They don't have any organs.
Yeah. Well, maybe they just take the form of humans.
Nick gathers information on the witch that
they don't reproduce, do they?
Wants him to kill the demons.
Yeah.
No.
They just
the same ones that entered 1,000 years ago are the same ones that are still alive now. Same thing with the. Well, I mean, I guess the fairies have reproduced.
We haven't.
Oh no! Well, that's what isn't it that the trolls and the goblins and stuff that are going to show up later? They're like they're like the children of the demons. Because demons are all mutated and stuff, and they can't bear children who are new fairies because there's no magic in this world. Like there's no upswell of magic in this world.
Yeah.
What I'm imagining is that when you try and make something magical in a non-magical plane, such as this world, it becomes corrupted.
Okay.
Because it's like fucking with the laws of physics.
Yes. Just glitches all over the place.
Yeah. Nick gathers information on which they want him to kill. Hank begins to Nick gathers information on which they want him to kill while he tries to I'm imagining the same time he's trying to stay like on task with his duties as a deputy in the department.
He's a deputy?
Or as an officer. Whatever.
Okay.
I don't care.
Okay.
Well, he tries to keep up with his duties in the department. Hank begins to suspect that Nick is hiding something after Adelaide visits Nick's apartment to give him a potion that will help him.
Which is...
I imagine it'll make the more difficult for the witch to like cast spells on him or something.
Okay. Yeah.
And then maybe also at this point, Silverton is beginning to.
At what point do we introduce the fairies?
Later.
Okay.
Suspect that either. It depends. Maybe, yeah. Probably later, though. Probably not right now.
Mm.
Silverton is beginning to suspect that that Nick is hiding something. I'm imagining Nick kills the witch, and then he finds something in her shop that he takes back with him.
That he knows the meaning of?
No, like he sees an item that is like magic enchanted.
All right. Which is?
Like a sword or something. I don't know. Like a book. Maybe it's a book. Maybe it's Necronomicon, the Book of the Dead.
We don't need to do it now.
It's a book. I think a book is a good idea. No, I'm going to. Yeah, we can wrap it up now, but then like maybe episode 5 is them dealing with the book, and then like a confrontation between Nick and Hag, and then the main conflict is with his mother. I'm imagining his mother comes to Portland at some point in like episode 7 or 8, maybe as things escalate with. Because I'm imagining with the witch dying, like messes something up in the organization currently that's going, and so the scales, right?
Yeah.
So
it suffers unforeseen consequences.
Things become unstable. So his mom decides to go there in episode 7. She arrives at like the end of episode 8.
Yeah.
She's there for episode 9 and 10. They argue. They decide to go their separate ways. His mom is killed. He gets revenge and kills like the. I'm imagining like maybe there's like an ogre who is in charge of one aspect of the syndicate that's here.
All right.
In Portland. Maybe he has like a couple like. Goblins that are his subservients, and maybe some Vesson that are working for them.
Okay. Goblins have magic powers.
Yeah, goblins have magic powers, and for this purposes, the ogres are like shapeshifters. So maybe the ogre like goes after him in episode 8, or episode maybe like they after the witch is killed. The part that Adelaide didn't tell him about, they want to find out who killed her, the witch. So they send like a goblin to like cast magic and like figure out who is there at what time, right? The ogre finds out in episode 7. He goes to assassinate Nick, right? Like transform into someone he knows and then stab him.
Okay.
Right. They fight, and then that's part of the escalation, and his mom deciding to come there, and then the ogre is killed at the end of the season.
Okay.
It's a rough arc, but we got first episodes. I think we have some establishing character moments, establishing who the characters are. Do you think that
What do I think?
Oh, what do you think? Oh, well, I mean, the episode where the fairies could show up could be if Nick is reading this book that he took from the witch's shop, right? It could be that he reads the book. The book makes him like nuts, or like it like corrupts his body in some way.
Yeah, and they have to.
He's like exhausted.
His army has to lead him through the desert of madness.
His skin is beginning, like rise of nations,
legends,
rise of legends. No, it like maybe he's like slowly rotting or something. They take him then I imagine Hank and I guess it would just be Hank at this point if there's nobody else. But it could be
We're forgetting one person.
Monroe,
Drew Wu.
Drew Wu.
The one guy.
Who's Drew Wu?
The one police officer that ate the magic love cookies and it made him eat everything else, and he hallucinated and stuff.
Oh, is there another? Did that happen?
Yes, that happened.
Nice. Yeah. No, I was gonna say like maybe Hank and Moreau take him out of the woods, right? And they do this. Or I guess Adelaide wouldn't. They'd have to maybe convince Adelaide to help them figure out what was wrong with him and how to fix it. And they take him out in the woods, put him in like a pool of water, summon the fairy thing to like remove the corruption from his body.
Yeah, and that's how
he meets the fairy from the spring folk.
I thought they were summer folk.
Oh no, you're right. Yes,
Yeah.
The summer folk. The summer folk would be the summer folk would be the
Summer folk.
would be the people who the first fairies that he encounters, and then it's revealed maybe in like the next episode where he's dealing with her presence, sort of, that they're the ones who gave the Grimms this power, and that she has a specific design for him, and she's kind of enigmatic about it, and we don't find out about that this season.
And in season 2.
In season 2, that becomes
the
more
horrible secret is revealed.
It becomes more a part of the arc. Yeah. But thank you for watching. I think we got a fairly good idea of what our version of this series would be. I think their characters would be more gruff.
Sorry for being a little vague about these things.
Yeah, there's certain things that we developed that we wouldn't want to you don't want to put all of it.
We want to keep it fun for you to discover the lore alongside.
Put it all in at once.
Yeah,
that's what she said. Thank you for listening. Have a nice day. If you have any other TV shows that you would like us to dump on, then please leave a comment below this video, and we might mention them in the next video. Have we decided what's going to be the next video?
It's going to be another show.
Is it going to be another show?
Because we did 2 movies. If it's going to be 2 movies and a show, then
2 movies and a show.
Inspector Gadget.
Wait, Inspector Gadget the show or Inspector Gadget the
movie?
Film starring Matthew Broderick?
Would it be better as a show or as a movie?
Hughes fame. What do you mean?
Would the Inspector Gadget be better as a show or a movie?
Our episode for it?
Yes.
I mean, it depends on what we're planning to do for that episode of the podcast. If we're talking about how we would reimagine Inspector Gadget, then it would probably be in show form. If we're talking about how to make a good Inspector Gadget movie, then we would be doing it on the movie. It depends on if we're staying in theme or taking it in a different direction.
I want to take it in a different direction.
Okay, then it would probably be the show.
All right. So then it's Inspector
Stay tuned
Gadget.
for another television-based episode where we're going to be talking about Inspector Gadget and how we would remake the Inspector Gadget show for a modern audience, or make a new show basically about it.
Get hyped.
For
Spooktober.
I thought you were gonna make a oh god, what's the name of that actor who he did the voice of Dr. Claw, and he's also I think he's Fred in Scooby-Doo.
Inspector Gadget is mine.
It's Frank something, I think. Yeah, Inspector Gadget. There must be some.
I am now the president. It's a piece of cake to bake a pretty cake.
There has to be some parody on like YouTube or something of the Dr. Claw voice singing like metal lyrics, because it's what like a lot. That's like some version of metal is people speaking like that. People, men speaking like that.
A microwave cat food instead of just the canned food.
Well, now you just sound like Batman. I'm Batman. My throat's dry now. This is just painful. You're just groaning now. Stop it. Stop that.
Little do they know. I'm a little teapot, short and stout.
Batman, no need to fall. Can you do a Michael Caine impression?
Michael Caine is
Alfred in the new Batman films.
Mr. Wayne.
No, that's not Michael Caine at all. Michael Caine's like,
I haven't watched the new Batman movies.
it's like when I haven't
seen Michael Caine, okay?
Something like that, yeah. No, I can't do a Michael Caine impression, but people can. It's good. It's a blooming onion. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. If you have any suggestions on how you would fix Grimm, then please leave a comment. And if you have any suggestions for future episodes of the podcast, please leave those in your comment as well. And we are... Oh, and remember...
What?
Don't vogue out.
Move.
I don't know. I couldn't come up with something that was good and also appropriate.
Buy Vogue perfume.
Yeah, buy Vogue products. Brought to you by Vogue. We do not have a sponsorship from Vogue. Disclaimer. Exclamation point.